word we're starting out with, these are just words, so it's like normal notes. If you know this stuff, you don't need it down. If you don't know this stuff, make sure you get it down. I'm writing it in terms that make sense to me, but I'll also try and explain it, so hopefully that'll help make it make sense to you. And the first word we're going to start with is the word trait. So that's number one on your list. And a trait is any difference between, how do we want to say this? I think it's between individuals. So any difference between individuals counts as a trait. And what I'd like to get up here are some different examples of things we could use. The word we've got relates to the word trait because it's what controls the traits that you have. Every trait you've got, you inherit from your parents. And for every trait you get multiple instructions from your parents, right? Your parents' instructions are what cause you to have blonde hair or brown hair or blue eyes or whatever. So the instructions that they actually give you are called alleles. So alleles is the word. And alleles are, technically speaking, they're segments of DNA that code for specific traits. Is a type of trait. There's two types of traits that we're going to talk about. And the first one is called a discrete trait. And these are the easiest ones to identify. They are traits that either you have or you don't have. That you've either got or not. And I'll explain that a little bit better in a second. But they're traits that you've either got or not, and they are controlled by two alleles. Talk about are called polygenic traits. And do you know the prefix poly by chance? Multiple or many, yeah. So polygenic traits are traits with a wide range of, how do we want to say that, appearances. Controlled by more than two alleles. So traits with a wide range, like lots of ways you could be. You're not either this or that. Your earlobes aren't either attached or unattached, but things where you've got a wide range of the way things could look. And when you get that, they're controlled by more than two alleles, and I'll explain. Guys, I don't know if you guys did these in middle school, but the next one we'll do is the prefix for it is hetero. Do you know what the prefix hetero means? Yep, different. So the word is heterozygous. And what we're referring to here, when we talk about this, you can be heterozygous for a trait, which would mean heterozygous would mean like you're this, a capital and a lowercase for a trait. You've got two different alleles for a trait. So the official word we want for it is that you have two different alleles for a trait. And with the letters that we talk about, we'd be talking about like capital B, lowercase b, or capital R, lowercase r. So when you're heterozygous for a trait, you've got a mix of capital and lowercase letters. Hetero means different. On the other end of that is we've got the homozygous. And prefix homo means same. And when you've got a homozygous genotype for something, if you express like recessive traits, if you've got blue eyes or you've got blonde hair, something like that, you're going to be homozygous for that trait, which means you're going to show two of the same letters for that trait. And that's what it says here when you've got identical. And that could be like lowercase, lowercase, or capital, capital. But if they're the same, right, the same codes for both, you wind up with what's called the alleles are dominant. Right? And how do you express a dominant allele when you're using letters? Capital letters. So some alleles are dominant, and which means they're always expressed. Which means they're always shown. Some are recessive. And those are only shown when other recessive ones are present. I take on a chromosome. Where an allele goes, right? So if you had a chromosome like that, you've got a gene right here, and this gene might be the gene that you've got that determines your hair color. So the gene is the spot for hair color, and then you get an allele from mom and an allele from dad that goes there as part of your DNA code, and that's what gives you your hair color.